Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Finline Financial Wednesday edition of the Sales Mastery course here and training. My name is Mario Delgadillo in Dallas, Texas, reporting live today from my smokers lounge in my cigar lounge where I'm a member. Just something that I like to do, and sometimes I need to get out here and just relax. But today we're going to talk about different ways to supercharge your retirement with annuities and whole life. So we're going to start with annuities, but really for both. Did you guys know that annuities and whole life outperform bonds? Okay. Do you know that in the market, when you're talking to clients, one of the things that people talk often about is, man, load up your portfolio with bonds because they're so strong. They're steady Eddie. They're rock solid. Well, listen, why do annuities and whole life outperform bonds? It's real simple, guys. Our country's $34 trillion in debt and climbing, right? We actually grow debt at a couple $1 billion a day. Okay. So I just want you, as we go through some of this, I want you to just think about your own personal like economy, right? We know what our bills are, we know what our income is, we know what our debt is. Can you imagine like the equivalent in your own world if every day you were growing your debt? Let's say you're growing your debt at $5,000 a day. Would that end well for us? Absolutely not. So now when you take that on a larger scale, right? The US government is 34 trillion dollars in debt and climbing to the tune of a couple $1 billion a day, right? And what we need to start helping our clients understand is we have to start preparing people to plan for tax-free growth, because the only way to get out of debt from a government perspective is to increase taxes, right? Because the government doesn't make an income. The government's income is the people, right? So if we were in debt $5,000 a day, let's say Eddie's like, man, I'm growing my debt $5,000 a day, right? I would say, okay, how are we going to get out of that, bro? The number one way to do that is to earn more money, right? Well, when you look at the government, they don't earn money; they take our money. So the answer to the debt problem for the government is to raise taxes. So there are some people that are going to find themselves in a world of hurt if they're focused on the traditional investments like assets and all the other things, right? So that's one that I thought was really important. Now, annuities in life, whole life insurance, by the way, annuities and whole life insurance. I call them a bond alternative. Okay, so what do I mean by that? The way bonds work, right? When interest rates go up, okay, bonds go down. In fact, in 2023, it was the worst year in the history of the United States for bond growth. Why? Because interest rates went absolutely bonkers. They went through the roof. So, see, bonds only do one thing for a person, right? They're just set up to get a rate of return. And that rate of return is actually really, really small, 1% to 2%. Whereas, like when you're looking at a whole life product specifically, it does multiple things, right? It gets you growth, it gets you tax benefits, it gets you liquidity, it gets you a death benefit, it's fixed, and it pays dividends. So if somebody is going out there and saying, I'm in bonds because they're rock solid and they're steady Eddie, right? They're only going to get one dimension from that. Whereas with whole life, you're getting multiple dimensions with that particular product. Okay. Now, let me talk a little bit though about annuities, right? So when you look at annuities, a lot of times people get pretty nervous about annuities. By the way, guys, if it gets a little loud, let me know, okay? Why do people, I've been here for like 2 hours and there's not been a soul in here. And as soon as I start, a bunch of people start walking in here, going to the supplier. So why do people get nervous about annuities? Well, first things first, I get a lot of times people like, oh, I've been told annuities are bad. And, an annuity, guys, at its core is a promise to pay contract, right? That's all it is. It's a promise to pay contract between the client and the insurance company. But do you know that there are other annuity contracts out there that are widely accepted, there's two that I can think of. The first one is a pension. You know, people love pensions, right? People love pensions. A pension is a promise to pay contract, just like an annuity. Social Security is an annuity. It's a promise to pay contract. So when somebody tells you that they don't like annuities, fixed index annuities, you should tell them then you should cancel your pension and your Social Security. Because if you don't believe in them, if you don't believe in fixed index annuities, then you probably don't believe in your pension or your Social Security, right? They're one and the same, right? And now, what we really have to start helping people to understand, guys, is that annuities, right? An income annuity specifically, okay, is essential and it's the foundation for the retirement portfolio. Okay. And I'm going to talk about whole life too, because there is a very, very important part of everyone's portfolio that should also have whole life insurance, cash value, whole life insurance, like we talk about participating cash value, whole life insurance. Okay. But these are like the foundations, okay, of your portfolio. So there's three facts, okay, that I thought were really interesting about adding annuities to your portfolio. Okay. Number one is this is adding a fixed index annuity, FIA, to your portfolio lowers risk and increases ROI. Statistically, over time, when you add an FIA into your portfolio, usually you lose an asset. Okay, so you add in a fixed index annuity, but you usually lose an asset because why? Because assets are usually largely tied to the market. But what it does is it absolutely lowers risk and it increases the ROI. So that's fact number one. Fact number two is this: you're going to be happier. The Wall Street Journal just put out a article, okay, called Friends, Family, and Guaranteed Income. And they studied seniors. And they said the retirees or seniors that are most happy in their life are surrounded by friends, surrounded by family, and have guaranteed paychecks. Think about it. The people that you know in your life that are retired, that live the best lives, they're teachers who have pensions, they're law enforcement that have pensions, they're military that have pensions, they're people who are gathering their Social Security, or they have guaranteed income checks from fixed index annuity. Why? Because number three, here's a verifiable fact, okay? According to a University of Chicago study, you live longer when you have guaranteed checks, because what happens is these people that have guaranteed income and guaranteed paychecks, their worry falls, their stress level falls. In fact, the Journal for Financial Service Professionals, the Journal for Financial Service Professionals put out an article and said that the average 65-year-old that has a guaranteed income will last or live 20% longer than those who don't have a guaranteed income, right? So think about that. In fact, in that article, it said that these folks are now being paid to live because if you die early, you lose money. It's just like, we're going to pay you forever. So the earlier you die, you literally lose money. So these folks that have guaranteed incomes, right, are paid to live. And so what they do is they start to change the way they live. A lot of these folks that are 65 years or older that have guaranteed income checks, they start to take care of themselves. They start to eat better. They start to travel more. They start to do things that are increasing longevity of life because they are paid to live, which is pretty cool. Three rules for annuities. Okay. Number one, annuities are for retirement, guys. That's it. So if you need this money, right, for any other reason, then an FIA might not be the right fit for you. Meaning, let's say you have somebody who's, I don't know, 55 years old, and he's still fully involved in business. He's investing. He's, in the business of acquiring companies, and he has $800,000. Can I put it in an annuity? I wouldn't, because it's not built for you to borrow it back out like you do on a participating whole life product, right? So if somebody wants to build specifically for retirement and use the funds for retirement, okay, a fixed index annuity is a right fit. If there's somebody who has lump sums of cash and wants to grow that money and then use it again for different business purposes, then we go participating whole life if we can. Okay, so that's number one, is annuities are for retirement. Okay, number two, okay, is that you don't want to put all your money there either. Okay, when you talk to a client, I tell them this: you want to get an income out of this fixed index annuity that will guarantee to cover all of your fixed living expenses. That's the bare minimum. So let's say you talk to somebody, and again, he's got $800,000. You go through the financial needs assessment with him, and you find out that he needs, let's say he needs $6,000 a month, but he's got two pensions that equal 4,000. He's got another 4,000 from Social Security, right? So there's already six. So he needs another few thousand just to cover his, have a little breathing room. So when you dial up what the bare minimum is, the bare minimum that you put into a fixed index annuity should go to cover any shortages that you need to be able to cover your monthly living expenses. That's the bare minimum. Now, well, what if I want to do more, right? I heard a gentleman today say there's a difference between a guaranteed paycheck and a guaranteed play check. So the bare minimum is, hey, what do you need to make on an income to cover all of your bills forever? Well, that's going to take 300,000 in a roll. Okay. But if you do 500,000, you have an extra play check, right? Because that's the idea. I want to cover enough for my bills. That's 300. But if I put 5, now I get an additional $2,500 a month for my play check to take trips, to do the things that I want to do in my golden years, right? So that's number 2. Number 3, you guys, is real simple. Invest into the FIA the amount you're not comfortable losing, okay? So sometimes I tell folks, listen, you have $1 million in your portfolio, right? Yep. Okay. What is the amount of money out of that million that no matter what happens in the market, the world goes, we go to war, there's all these shenanigans going on. What is the number out of that million that you would just want to jump off a cliff if you lost? Oh, dude, I can't lose more than 600,000. Then that's the amount of money you need to protect, right? So the rest of it, you can put other places if you like, right? And so these are just a couple of rules that I think are really, really important when you're talking about annuities. Okay, so now let's shift gears a little bit and we'll talk about whole life. So whole life insurance, okay, and I'm going to say participating whole life because that's what we sell. We sell, and let's make sure we understand what that means. Participating whole life insurance, which means that the money that you put into this particular policy is going to continue to participate in growth. Now, is it based on market returns? Yes or no? Just give me a thumbs up if it's yes. Give me a thumbs down if it's no. What do you think? Tony says no. Eddie says no. I know Maritza knows this answer. Patty says no. I know Maritza knows this answer, but her camera was off, so she was probably dealing with the kiddos. But so participating whole life growth is not contingent upon market growth. It's contingent upon 2 things, okay? Number 1, yes, you had it right, Eddie, so yeah, let's do it, right? So number 1, okay, you're getting a fixed rate. And number 2, you're participating in dividends. So you put the money in and it's constantly participating in growth, but it's not market growth, okay? Very important. Is an IUL, Index Universal Life policy, is that cash value contingent upon market growth? Yes or no? Yes. Yeah. See? All right. That's the difference between the two, right? So one of the biggest complaints, if you will, or objections to participating whole life is that they say, oh, it's too expensive. It's expensive, right? Guys, putting money into a participating whole life policy is not an expense. right? What you're doing is you're creating an asset for retirement, right? And so with a whole life policy, it's not an expense, it's an asset because the money is going to continue to grow with a fixed rate and dividends pretty much guaranteed. So it's not, the idea is you got to get your person, your client to understand that we're not putting money into this and saying goodbye to it, right? What you're doing is you're putting it into like a type of savings account. Why? Because you can borrow against it, right? So it's really cool because it's outperformed bonds over the last 40 years. Verifiable fact. So when we're looking at these particular products, we want to make sure that people understand that a participating whole life product is literally that product that gives everybody the ability to have like the Swiss Army knife of investments, right? Because what does it give? It gives you growth, it gives you liquidity because you can borrow against it almost immediately, right? I think it's like 7 days after the money gets there, you can borrow up to like 90%, which is pretty phenomenal. Okay. Now, the question is asked, okay, when you're looking at participating whole life, right? What about like the 35 to 45-year-old entrepreneur, right? Because I see that a lot, especially in our industry. I have people that are like, well, I'm an entrepreneur. It's a catch-22. Whenever I talk to somebody who's self-employed or has that entrepreneurial spirit, every single one of us believes wholeheartedly that you're going to become a millionaire, right? If you don't, then you shouldn't be doing this, right? So it's funny because when you try to do wealth management or financial preparation with somebody who's an entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, all that's true, but I'm going to be a millionaire in 5 years anyway, so I'll just take care of it then. you know, the idea is I think it's even more important for somebody who's self-employed to get a participating whole life product started for them as fast as possible because you are it. When you have a job, you have a 401k. If you lose your job, you get benefits, right? You get, unemployment benefits. You have health benefits, right? When you are self-employed, you are it. You have to start preparing sooner rather than later, right? Now, then what happens is there's two types of products that I believe should be the foundation for our clients, but also for you guys. Okay. Listen, I'm about to drop about $200,000 into an annuity just because I want to do it. I know what it could do, and it's going to be a guaranteed paycheck for me someday down the road. So let's say somebody sells a house, right? Should it be the only thing that they do? No, but they should drop some money into an annuity. If they're able to without, benefits, they should drop some money into a participating whole life product as well. Now I've got a ton of term, I've got a lot of insurance, and I've got a lot of other investments, but we're about to open up a pretty fat participating whole life under my wife. Well, because she's younger and she's healthier, right? So her cost of insurance will be a lot less. So that means I can stuff more money into that thing. But you're going to be able to grow that thing tax free. You're going to be able to have dividends. You're going to be able to get fixed rates, okay? And you're going to be able to participate in liquidity just as soon as you want it. And then if and when you pass away, you actually get a tax-free death benefit from as well. Okay. So it's very, very important that at around the 40s and 50s, instead of when you have a client that already has multiple participating whole life policies, you're going to run into a case where, hey, you've got a client, he's got some more money, he already has a couple of participating whole life products, and we have to focus on insurable interest, right? So, well, Mario, you've already got 3 other products, and you've got like $30 million in death benefit. You might not get approved because the insurance company is going to be like, dude, you don't need any more insurance, right? And so at that point is when people start shifting away from continuously dumping into participating whole life, but then starts putting it into annuities, right? And in a fixed index annuity that's designed specifically for income. Because here's what I want you to know. Like, I'll pick on Eddie, right? Eddie and I went to high school together. We're the exact same age. He's always been buffer than I am, but so that means he's probably in better shape. But let's say over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. Eddie and I keep just dropping 100,000 in a fixed index annuity, put 150,000 in another one, and you have 3 or 4 different annuities. And then over the next 20 years, at about 60, 65, we each have 4 separate guaranteed incomes, right? And we know what the statistics say and the studies tell us that we're going to live a better life, right? Because the worry is gone, the stress is gone. It's just like I talked about yesterday on the wake up call, right? Love of money is the root of all evil, right? But the second thing that we talked about, right, is money doesn't buy happiness. Well, some of these studies will prove, based on death rates, that that's not true. When you are in retirement and you don't have to worry about money because you have guaranteed paychecks, then you're going to be able to live longer, right? It's just numbers. It's just data, research, guys. So as we close, like I told you, today was going to be more of like a chalk talk, like a locker room type of thing. Hopefully I gave you guys some nuggets that you can keep in your back pocket. In fact, I'm going to put together a couple of looms and send out to some of my clients because this data is really important. But what is our current marketplace looking like? Guys, those of you guys that have been with me for a while, you know this. A couple of months ago, I talked about in a bad economy and in tumultuous times, those of us that can monetize fear will be ridiculously successful. But I think I remember telling you guys, okay, put on your big girl panties, put on your big boy drawers. Like, I don't want to hear like, oh, that sounds so cold-blooded. No, there's more millionaires made during times of economic downturn than ever before. And one of the reasons is because people figure out a way to monetize fear, right? So here's the thing. From a sincere heart, you guys should be concerned about your clients because here's what's happening. Inflation, debt, interest rates, taxes, people's spending habits. Social Security needs to be fixed, right? But you know what's even worse than Social Security? Medicare and Medi-Cal are Medicaid, absolute trash. All of those things are not going to go away. And what's crazy is the average person, all they care about is if they can buy eggs this week, right? If they can buy food this week, if they can live one more month to pay off their bills and live to fight another day. But we're all headed towards this expiration date. I'm not trying to be morbid, but we are, every single one of us. So what happens is we're just trying to survive weekly, trying to survive monthly, and the next thing you know, you're 60. And it's like, crap, I don't have enough money. I'm going to have to work until I die, right? How many of you know somebody in your immediate family, maybe at least one, that basically worked until they died? Both of my grandparents, they worked until they died. They really had no option. Or if they did retire, they just came to live with their kids. Is that really retirement? Like, they're just being taken care of, right? And so the idea is that we need to increase the urgency and tell these people, guys, taxes are going to go up. So $500,000 retirement now in 10 years will not be worth $500,000. Even if you increase it to $600,000, it's probably going to have enough spending power for $300,000 because of inflation, because of debt, because of people's spending habits. Did you guys know that no matter what's going on right now in the economy, people are still spending more than ever? Credit cards are through the roof. So what does that do for us, and why are we having this conversation? Because we have the keys to help people to make better decisions. We have the tools and the resources to be able to do that. So go out there, guys. Go out there and, like we talked about this morning, get hungry. Spread the message. Talk to as many people as possible, because there's a lot of people that are looking for ways to save their money tax-free without losing access, right? Guaranteed growth with fixed and dividends is pretty awesome. Guaranteed income literally helps you live longer, right? So that is our training for today. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording. We'll do a quick round robin and do some takeaways. And if anything, just have some conversation, share some things that you guys have maybe run across with clients. But let me go ahead and get this stopped.